natural, inevitable process of human life which leads to the weakening of the body and mind is our business this week. Aging and knowing how to grow old, one of the most difficult chapters in the art of living, as well as the rights of senior citizens in the society. It was in 1948 at the United Nations that the issue of aging was first debated. Between that time and 1991, when the United Nations General Assembly declared October 1 as the International Day of the Older Persons, and the adoption of the 18 principles covering 5 clusters of protection for the elderly, governments around the world have domesticated the mandate in their respective constitutions. While India, alongside some more advanced countries, occupy the front row in the effective implementation of age-friendly policies, the same cannot be said of others, especially in Africa. Here, the sole responsibility of care of senior citizens rests with the family. With so many questions needing answers on what exactly constitute the rights of senior citizens and whose responsibility it is to make this phase of life worth it, the Dateline 360 crew went to the field to get the Nigerian situation. Welcome. I'm Hauwa, Salihu Adama. By the time you are 80 years old, you have practically learned everything. You only have to remember it. That's American comedian, actor, and writer George Burns' description of the reality of aging. This is Dateline 360, and we are glad you joined us. Investigations reveal that by the year 2050, Nigeria's population is expected to hit 440 million. 30 million of this figure will comprise people of 60 years and above, with senior citizens said to be the best teachers. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, in our lead report, examines the condition of this group of people today and their rights.
It is a warm, friendly day at Girki village, one of the ancestral homes of the Gbagi-speaking people in the FCT. Our camera lens caught up with this strong-looking elderly woman. She is taking a walk down the street. This scenario describes the plight of about 8 million Nigerians over the age of 60 who constitute about 20% of the country's population. Coping with challenges of movement on busy roads and interaction with the larger society was unveiled at the home of 87-year-old Mama Lami Philo. The Dateline 360 crew also met her sick husband, a retired civil servant now 96 years. They believe society have not been fair to them.
Vehicles don't stop for us to cross the road, and I won't be able to climb the pedestrian bridge.
I want to get better and be engaged.
The United Nations General Assembly adopted a set of principles for older persons, and member states incorporated them in their programs. But in Nigeria, the provisions made in the 1999 Constitution put the burden of care of the senior citizens squarely on family members.
The elderly in Nigeria are like an endangered species. Nobody cares about them anymore. They have no rights, they have no benefits.
Despite the increasing number of the elderly in the country, issues of social security is compromised. Facilities that are age-friendly are not considered. Hauwa, talking about facilities that are not senior citizens friendly, the Federal Secretariat, one of the biggest government offices in the FCT, is one of such. In these structures, there are no facilities that are senior citizens friendly, apart from the lifts, which are most times not functioning.
There are people who've had strokes and they have to be on a wheelchair, but they are still mentally sound. They want to be able to go to the bank and do their accounting. But what happens? They cannot go into a banking hall because there are no facilities that are age-friendly.
In other climes, I mean, once you attain the age of 60, all the drugs you take, except very few, are free. You have a card that shows you are an elderly person. You board public transport at heavily reduced rates. These are just one, a few of the advantages bestowed on you as an elderly.
Back home in Nigeria, where care is basically the responsibility of family, an emerging ugly trend is the gradual fading out of support.
Some people bring their parents to Abuja here, and they lock them up when they go to work. They leave them with television. Some of those people don't speak English. They're just looking at television. There's nobody to talk to. And boredom kills anybody once you are alone and lonely.
How relevant is the concept of old people's home in this situation?
You have a man who's on a wheelchair. He's left in his home. Everybody leaves him at home till about 2 p.m. So from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. What is he at risk of? He could fall off that wheelchair, break his hip, break his head. He might not get enough food, enough water. It's neglect. But, we say culturally we do not want to send our older adults into a home. But for those who have such multi-complex issues, they are better served in a home.
Aging is for everyone, and it is said to be a gift from God.
A new look has to be taken at those areas of taking care of our older persons. In the end, everybody will age. In the end, everybody will become old.
As this class of people pray and hope for a better day ahead, Mama Lami Philo, with her quick laugh and infectious smile, requested I dance with her and her husband. As she says, life must go on. For Deadline 360, Oyinaya Kalo Oka.
Life indeed must go on, Oyinaya. However, senior citizens like the couple in your package deserve to benefit from a functional system that goes beyond occasional handouts, as evident in other parts of the world. Now, we asked Fatima Sanusi Karaye in Kano to give us the perspective of northern Nigeria concerning the elderly and care.
This is Musa Osman, a 9-year-old boy looking forward to the future. He, like the rest, do not have a single worry in the world, as his needs are taken care of by his parents. That was exact Baba Muhammad's thoughts 70 years ago. Baba Muhammad, an 80-year-old Nigerian Civil War veteran who has been in the military since early 60s, retired in the late 80s. Today, after all those years of serving his fatherland and caring for his children's needs, the table has turned. He needs someone to care for him.
I have children, but I am the one taking care of myself. I fought the Nigerian Civil War. It is only God can reward me.
In the northern part of Nigeria, it is culturally unacceptable to place elders under external care. They are well respected, nurtured, help them cross roads and carry their loads, because helping elders in this community is seen as symbol of blessings. But total commitment to this norm is declining due to pressures of everyday living, limited funds and time, so elders are somehow neglected.
There is nobody taking care of me, and I cannot see properly now.
Dr. Bello, sociologist at Bayero University, Kano, said elders need a functioning social welfare structure. He stressed the importance of family as a basic unit structure, adding that aging in isolation could lead to mental deterioration.
Experts are of the view that the role of elders in building societies is priceless. They are valued assets, and their welfare must be reviewed.
As for Baba Muhammad, he has contributed his quota, but now feels neglected, while Malam Usman Elebra, who painted government offices in Kano, feels alone while going blind on the street. And if this is happening for the likes of Baba Muhammad now, what will happen to the likes of Musa Usman in 70 years' time? In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garay, Dateline 360.
A very important question, Fatima. The reason the Dateline 360 crew is adding its voice to the call for urgent attention. Good thing, Fatima, is that this is a path everyone is likely to go through, irrespective of status. Okay, to Nigeria's southeast zone, where our correspondent, John Ogwejefo, takes us through a developing trend before now considered a taboo by the Igbo-speaking people.
Old age is usually revered as a symbol of wisdom and blessing by people of the southeast. It was therefore until lately perceived as irresponsible or callous for one to place his parents or grandparents under external care. Ben Nwekorobu is a 92-year-old who in his productive years traversed the length and breadth of Nigeria but has retired to Izumobunoka village in Anambra State, where he's been taken care of by a young lady. The man says it would be unbearable for him to live in an old people's home.
I have no problem with the young lady taking care of me, although I would have been more comfortable living with my children.
Despite the seeming unacceptable status of the old people's home in this part of the country, an increasing number of senior citizens are ending up there as the management of one of the homes confirmed full occupation of the facility.
We commenced at Oketiti. We were transferred here because of lack of accommodation in 2007. Since then, we have too many flus of these people. We can't accommodate all.
Love is the greatest commandment given by God. It is a healing balm when shown to the sick, and it prolongs life when given to the aged. The members of Mother of Christ Compassionate Home, Onitsha, say that they are very, very happy being in the hands of their reverend sisters. But they equally believe that they will be happier being in the care of their own children.
I fell down some time ago and broke my leg, so I was taking an operation, and after that they said I should come here and stay with other women because they care for old people. And I'm now old, together with problem.
We are just like rejected people. Nobody's taking care of us. But they volunteered to take care of us. And for that reason, I'm praying God to bless them and reward them abundantly.
Also in Anambra State is Madonna Mercy Old People's Home, Obaro. Dateline 360 crew was not granted access to the home owing to the absence of its coordinator. Another of such institution that is merely existent in Ebonyi State is the St. Vincent de Paul Old People's and Destitutes Home, Abakaliki. It was founded in 1988 and currently houses 12 inmates. The glaring poor management and state of infrastructure is attributed to lack of funding.
Some of our inmates here is supposed to be more than this, the number we have here. Due to the challenge we are facing, health challenge, some of them die off. So we need at least government to come to our aid.
As much as confining a loved but elderly one to a formal institution of care appears unpalatable, the establishment of standard and functional old people's home in the southeast is evidently a growing necessity. John Ogwejofo for Dateline 360.
An open-ended debate, I would say, John. However, human rights activists insist whatever choice of care for a parent, their rights as senior citizens must be respected and granted. Still staying with not depriving senior citizens of their rights, one area which speeds up the degeneration process is the health of this group. Joy Ken Abakboya in the next package brings us to speed on ailments common with the elderly and ways of coping with them.
Statistics have shown that Nigeria has over 8 million old people. A large number of these senior citizens are known to have one health challenge or the other. Over time, as one ages, the vital organs, muscles and bones of the body get weak and are unable to withstand pressure and weight. So they get deformed easily, and this results in several old age diseases. The diseases and conditions common among the elderly in Nigeria, medical experts say, include arthritis, back pain, adult onset diabetes, enlarged prostate, depression and Alzheimer's.
Patients lose short-term memory first, and often people don't diagnose it because they think, well, you know, mama is just getting old. But the truth of the matter is, if that memory problem is occurring all the time and it starts to interfere with the person's ability to do the things that he or she would normally do, then you have to be worried that you are developing a condition like Alzheimer's disease.
Some of these diseases, gerontologists say, can be effectively managed, but the absence of proper care for senior citizens has over time led to avoidable and unnecessary deaths.
If from an early age you take precaution, chances are high you probably will live a bit longer before you come down with it, or possibly even not have it. So something like hypertension, although we've said essential most of the time when nobody really knows what causes it, but there are risk factors, genetic predispositions to it. But the little things you can do, just adjust diet to cut down on your salt intake. You would also want to exercise quite a bit. So if you adopt all of these changes in lifestyle way before you get to that age, chances are high you probably wouldn't, fall into that category.
While the risk of diseases and disability can increase with age, medical experts say poor health is not necessarily a consequence of aging. Medical experts are of the opinion that by practicing a healthy lifestyle, which include proper diet and regular exercises, and avoiding alcohol and tobacco at a young age, one can live a healthier old age. In Lagos for Dateline 360, I am Joy Ken Abakboya.
Joy, the starting point is known as today's lifestyle determines tomorrow's strength. But for the reason of the issue at hand, access to health care for this group experts believe should be priority. And to our last report in this edition, Mia Ogidi interacted with an advocate of that age-long injunction to honor their parents.
Dr. M.M. Omokaro is her name, and she is the Executive Director, Dave Omokaro Foundation, and Dateline 360 crew of the NTA is our guest today. In our usual receptive disposition, we were welcomed to our home, and the TV set in the sitting room tuned on our best program, Dateline 360. That bond our meeting even more as she prepares to be on the screen in the next edition. This cordiality opens our hearts for sincere and deep discussions on the plight of the aged, especially in Nigeria.
At a certain age, you recognize that this person is a senior citizen, and this person has really contributed to the well-being of this country.
Are there such laws in other countries?
Of course, there are the old American Acts.
Okay.
There are laws in Britain. There are laws everywhere where you recognize older persons in their category with their unique challenges, and then you subsidize. There's health insurance. Okay. There's long-term care insurance. There are subsidies for transportation. You want to take a flight, you don't pay as the other person pays. And there are courtesies in buses. You want to sit in a bus, there are places reserved for senior citizens. And when the youth sees the youth gets up, because you see the intersections of aging, disability, and gender. So a few people, 1/5 of older persons have disabilities with age. Hearing disability, sight disability, functional movement disability. So you accord them that recognition and their vulnerability. And then the law, that's the legislation, takes care of that. But apart from that, I was talking about putting the framework in place and then making sure that the statutory mandates, for instance, of health, if I come to health, we have the Federal Ministry of Health and we have the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, which oversees primary healthcare. So what I'm saying is that if you have primary healthcare, and about 63% of our older persons live in the rural areas, and the primary healthcare is the facility that is nearest to the people, then the sensible thing to do is to make the primary healthcare age-friendly.
On rather emotion-laden voice, my guest makes case for the regulation for the opening of centers for older persons.
For instance, you don't just get up and go and open a facility. You must be seen to be licensed. The housing, the property, the facility must keep to standard. You can't handle dementia in the home. We need professionals to handle dementia. And any facility, a nursing facility for dementia, must meet the highest standard, adaptable to that kind of challenge. But in Nigeria, we do not have those regulatory framework. So we have to, once we have a national council, because part of the services, the role of the national council as is spelled out in this draft bill that we went to, to impute, is that the national council will be that council that will lay down regulatory framework, will issue licenses, and will do the monitoring, evaluation, inspections, so that they can shut you down if you don't meet it.
Hauwa is back to you. I hope you are doing that for your mom, taking good care of her with all the best nature and humanity can offer. Mie Ogidi for Dateline 360.
Sure, Mie, being blessed with one or both parents in adulthood is a privilege that must be maximized at all fronts. With a UNESCO population estimate projecting a doubling of the year 2005, 590 million figure for people of 60 years and above by 2025, the implication is that there will be more elderly than young people in the world. For countries in Africa where challenges of modernity are widening, the degeneration of family bonds and respect for the elderly, the call is for the state rather than family to champion palliative care for senior citizens. You can be part of this by sending us your comments, questions and suggestions to Dateline360@nta.ng or at NTA News Now. Thanks for being part of this edition. Remember, the future depends on what we do in the present. Many thanks and bye for now.